Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to episode 36 of the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. If you're brand new here, welcome. We are a comic book club where we go ahead and read a story, an arc, or a volume chosen by one of us guys. And if you are listening to this on the podcast and you don't have, if you don't have time, listen to us on the podcast. If you miss us, listen to us on the podcast. We are available on all the major podcast services as well. But and if you've been here before, welcome. Great to see you. This week, we are going to be talking about Skyward, Volume 1, My Low G Life, from Image, out in 2018. This was written by Joe Henderson, and the art was done by Lee Garbett.
Garbett.
Guys, you may have noticed that Dean isn't here. He couldn't make it this evening, so unfortunately, you're stuck with the three of us.
Well, unfortunately.
And the three of us being these two co-hosts and myself. But first up, we've got this guy here, Philip from Phil's Nerdiverse.
Hi, folks. How are we tonight?
We've got Shane from Dawn of Comics.
And he's frozen over the perfect freeze for you. Something a picture of that.
He'll be back in a minute. And we've got myself, Scott from Scott Shelf. Hello, how you doing? Phil, should we go ahead and say hi to everyone in the comments?
Yeah, we'll see who's here. So we have Darryl Hart, who is early as we've got Noob, Ethan Folks. I guess as Scott said, we are available on podcast. So if you're working, you can't listen live, listen to the podcast. Tom from This Month of Movies. Good evening, Nerd Herders. Highland G. Hello. We have TB Collects. Tyler, how's it going? Triple G Comics says hi all. Comic versus the World. Ethan all. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on this one. Can you catch you on the replay tomorrow? Good man.
Great, thanks man.
We have Liam. Howdy ho. Seth.
Howdy ho.
Yo. All the way from SoCal. How are you, Adam from Comic Bound? Hoody hi.
Ooh, changing up.
It's jumped on me. This is what Dean talks about every week.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh, no.
It does.
No, where are we?
We've got SEC. He's jumped in. What up, bro? And who else? We got Caroline. Hey, all. How you doing? Thanks for joining. We've got Jack Talks Comics. Hey, guys. Beth, the person we never want to miss. Hey, everyone. She's here. We're here. Thanks for joining. And we've got off my shelves. It's coming up, isn't it? Where the hell is Dean? Where the hell is Dean?
You have to go for his chronic irrigation, folks. It's that time of the year, really.
He hasn't. But yeah, thanks for joining. Who else? This is stuck with me. What Dean said last week. We've got everyone's favorite tennis ball. Fuzzy Dunlap is in. Can't stay long. Just wanted to pop past and show his face. Great. Thanks for joining. Thanks for popping by. And I think that's it.
Did we get SEC?
Yeah, we got SEC.
Oh,
cool. I think that's it. Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. It's brilliant to have you here. As we said earlier on, we're talking about Skyward Volume 1, and this was Philip's pick. So it's up to him to tell us what this book is about.
All right, so this book, basically gravity something's happened yet in this world. So the book follows a girl called Willa Fowler. So it's 20 years after gravity's disappeared. It turns out her dad and his partner at the time kind of knew it was going to happen or predicted it. And one of them wanted to kind of save the world or prevent it or kind of get gravity back to what it was. And the other one wanted to make money out of it by selling gravity boots and magnetized dresses. So it's kind of the quest in terms of Willa's trying to help her dad, and the dad's old partner wants to kill him, and so on and so forth. But it's all very good, and how people adapt to living in the tall skies of and all the skyscrapers, and yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think you nailed that, mate. Like, got it in one. Yeah. Shane, do you want to kick us off? What did you think of the story? If he's there.
With the art, as always.
Go ahead, man. What
Are we
did you
going
think?
story first, are we, this time? I like the
Whoa.
idea of the story, and I like the... Oh, am I frozen?
No, you're okay. You're there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Am I here?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So I really enjoyed it. Overall, it's. What are you laughing at? You can hear me, but I'm frozen. That's fine. So yeah, I really enjoyed the story overall. It's one of those where you kind of have to leave your brain at the door, because if you think about it too much, there's too much in it that doesn't make sense. But overall, it's a really good, nice, compact, tight story for a first volume. I really liked it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was really I think it's definitely a very simple concept, isn't it? It's just gravity has lessened. It's not gone, is it? Because otherwise they'd go all the way up, wouldn't they? So it's lessened, but it's but and it's interesting how everyone has adapted to this in that kind of time span between when she was a baby and then when she's when it flashes forward to her present time, and it's all and you see everyone has adapted and the world has adapted, and it's really cool.
I love the way there is a divide: the people that accept it as it is, and there's the people who just refuse to acknowledge it and want to live their life as normal. And they didn't have a name in this book, but they called the people who accepted it the uppers. Right?
Yes,
they were called the uppers. I thought it was cool. But yeah, it's a very simple concept, really. It's one of those things that anyone could really think of it, but there's certain little nuggets throughout the story that kind of make it really clever for me. So it's simple and clever all at the same time.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. Should we get into the arty part? Should we do that first? Dean has sent us clips of his thoughts, so he sent us an art clip, a writing clip, and then his thoughts and scores at the end. So we'll go ahead and we'll play what he thinks of his art. We haven't seen these yet, so it's new for everyone. So here we go. Let's have a look at this.
Hey guys, super sorry I can't be there for this episode, and I am gutted that I'm missing out on comic book talk this week. But you've got these videos, so let me start with the art here. I enjoyed this one. I think visually this was quite fun to look at, even though I struggled with the concept of this, I want to say a little bit, but I'll touch more on that in the writing. But visually this reminded me a little bit of the Rick Remender Deadly Class book, the pencils by Wes Craig on that will kind of give me vibes of this. Not the colouring, obviously Deadly Class was far more vivid, but I did like their use of colours on this, particularly the blues and stuff when you had those scenes in the sky with the water and things like that. I thought that was visually quite exciting to look at, and those were the panels I kind of enjoyed the most, if I'm honest with you. The ones where they were floating and lots of stuff was kind of going on, like I enjoyed those probably more, and that's why I picked this panel. You can see there's the blood droplets floating around and the room's being ransacked and everything's floating around. And I think for the idea of this, the art matched the concept quite well. I thought, you've got her running around as some sort of delivery person or a courier, and she's kind of zooming alongside the buildings, and the art, I think, really reflected that well. And I enjoyed all of the characters, the designs of them. I loved Willa as a character. I thought she was great. I loved the hair, especially when zooming around and everything. It looked really good visually. But all the characters were kind of different enough and had something about them, like the lady that she worked with and the guy that also worked with her as well, the guy with the no legs. I think the only letdown character design wise was the kind of the villain in this. I felt that he could have had something a bit more interesting about him. I don't know, give him a Bond villain scar or something. He just seemed like a bit of a faceless guy in a suit. So, and I mean, I don't know whether more happens or more comes into play with that guy, later on in the volumes, obviously have to read on. But visually, I enjoyed this. I thought it was a kind of a fun book when it comes to the art. So there was no major niggles from me, really. Yeah, I loved it. The art was really good.
Great. So Dean was a fan.
Yeah.
Dean was a fan. We saw his panel there.
touched on a few things that like I think make the book what it is. Like the fact that she had this big hair, like the big hair. Like of course you would. Like there's no gravity or less gravity, so everyone had big hair. It was all in the sky, and like they didn't have to do that. If they had drawn it with normal style hair, like you would have just read the book and go, okay. But the fact that they add that in,
I know, but like I think that was the bit I was most impressed with was the fact that the amount of consideration they've put into this entire story, purely for the fact that gravity's a bit less, and then they've just so much as come into play. They had obviously anything water related was floating around. Hair was more flowy. Even like at the first few pages you had the kind of like balloons like weighted down, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I'm on about towards the start of the story? Just stuff like that. Just so many little considerations that just add to this world, and I just thought it was brilliant.
I'm going to touch on a few comments here, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Just trying to find out. All right, so off my shelves, I had to keep reminding myself that the gravity is lessened and not gone. And I have to relax in my overwhelming need to see the sea. Spoilers. Sorry. Firehawk. Art was pretty solid, not super clear at times. Colors were nice, kind of a relaxing tone. I agree.
Nice, yeah.
This is something that I definitely picked up on. I love the world building. Little touches like the penthouses are nice for the poor people. And that's true.
Yeah, 100%. And all the rich people were then on the floor because it was closer to the ground. Yeah.
Jumping on me.
That's a great bit of perception there. Yeah.
TB collects. I enjoy the art quite a bit, but at times I found the panels weren't super dynamic and didn't show the action as well as say Deadly Class. And to be fair, that's true. The action, there wasn't loads of action in this book, but the art didn't really reflect that either.
I don't think that was the most important part of the story, though, was it? It didn't need to be in too much detail for a fight. It's not a fighting book.
SEC asked, how do you go in the bathroom in this world? And they did mention this. They did say that, they just kind of
point upwards,
point up into the sky, and I think at some point thought, like, why is that weird? Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That bit made me like laugh out loud.
Yeah.
It's like where else?
They've all read the book. Well done.
I can just imagine, like a urinal, but upside down.
Yeah.
Just on the ceiling, a urinal on the ceiling. That's all I could think of. But yeah. Dean showed his panel, the one with the the blood floating around. What did you guys think of that?
Yeah, like
it was a great
one thing as well. Yeah, it was a great page. Like the fact that everything's obviously being ransacked because I think someone broke into the apartment, but nothing's been put back as it can. It's all just floating in the air. It was great.
Yeah.
That was the second time they did the floating blood, wasn't it? Because Willa being punched was the first time, and we saw the single droplet float onto the guy in the office. That was very clever.
Yeah, there was so much thought had gone into this. Like I really enjoyed it. Do you guys want to go through your pages?
Sure.
Yeah. Shane, do you want to go first with yours?
Yeah, I picked that page because even though the first two pages you do see gravity turn off and you see people float up, this is where you see the magnitude of it. This is where you see that it's planes and buses and trains and animals. And if you actually zoom in as well, like close to the middle by the car, there's actually a woman holding a baby as well, and it breaks your heart when you see this.
Didn't see that one.
And this is the true magnitude of it. Yeah, it's not great. Don't look. But this one got me, so that's why I chose this. Just the sheer terror and magnitude of it.
Wow.
I did not know about the baby. That is really heartbreaking because
it is.
It's one thing the book does touch on is obviously the kind of tragedy of losing loved ones, but not to the point where like it's a real deep cut and you really think about like kind of the loss of life. Really, I don't think so. Anyway, maybe I'm just cold. But if I had seen that, I had that's sad.
It is sad. I mean, I spent a long time. We'll look at it again. I spent a long time looking at this panel. It's a 2-page spread, and I was just really trying to look at everything I could because obviously someone spent a lot of time drawing this, and it's a very impactful thing. Like you've got to consider like what would happen when gravity gets turned off, and that's exactly what happened. Liam said it right there, and that is outstanding. Great panel.
Just saying hello to J Reels 247.
Great, thanks for joining.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
The comic board is in. Good day,
Great.
James.
Hello. Shane keeps popping on and off, so that's okay. Good
It's
thing he's just
funny
on his page.
Every week there's somebody's internet. It was mine one week. It was Dean's. You've had problems. It's just it goes around.
The internet, man. Should we go into your page?
Sure. Yeah, the reason I love this page, apart from obviously the obvious color scheme, which just looks really fantastic, I think it's done really well to kind of, like we mentioned, the divide and the people who live up top in the penthouses as such, and the rich, more powerful people live in the bottom because they all have their magnetic boots, so that's why they can stay on the ground. You can see that little spark under her foot there, and essentially they're now the upper class one, so it is roles reversal type thing. And I love the way that, like, with the upper people, they have the beauty of nature, like the sky and the sunsets and so on, as their kind of like landscape. We're down here, it's all manufactured. So the manufactured gravity boots, the manufactured lights. Yeah, it's just, I just love that. Like, this really highlights the divide for me. I thought that was great.
Yeah. I think my favorite bit about this page in particular were the adverts, like the stuff you see around. You know, like no flight, magnetize, move down, and all this kind of stuff. And it was just, it was just great. I keep saying it. I love the attention to detail with this book about the gravity.
Say hello to a few other folks. The Grey Man has entered.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Dean's not here tonight. Sorry to disappoint. He'll be back next week. All being well.
He did have a fall. The G-Day took him. He's gone.
Yeah.
He fell off.
Stormcore Collectibles, late squad, better late than never.
Oh, late squad. He's not part of the early squad this time.
Oh, he's usually the first one into it.
Yeah, he's usually here. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let's go into my page. This was towards the end. I think this was the final issue, wasn't it? It was just when the storm is happening, but it's not raining. It's just a gigantic ball of water floating around the city. And you know, what was her name? Willa. Yeah, Willa's dad gets trapped in there, and again, this was the bit for me. I was like, right, that's it. The attention to detail is absolutely amazing. Like, this is it for me. The fact that they've thought of, right, we can make an air pocket inside this floating ball of water to save her dad at this point. And yeah, I just loved it. And I think the detail on it, you know, the fish are here floating around, and it's just stunning. You know, in the top, in all the panels, actually, you can see, like, you know, that water reflection shimmering those lines and stuff. It's just lovely to look at.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty. And like, even that idea that a rainstorm is just going to be one big ball of water. Like, I wasn't expecting that until they were panicked about a rainstorm coming. Yeah. Next thing, this big ball of water is like, well, it makes sense. It's not going to be, you know, as normal.
It's not going to fall, is it? It's either not going to happen at all or just float around like that. Yeah, I love that.
You mentioned
terrifying as well. I mean, being trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you know, if anyone has low tolerance for anxiety, you won't be good with that. But I think... Go on.
Sorry, I just want to say, with the attention to detail as well, like, I loved how Willa had never been down before and how she wasn't bothered. She was a child of the sky and couldn't be arsed walking, which is true. But one thing about the attention to detail I was going to mention was that whenever she had the shoes on, the fact that she couldn't walk with them, again, they didn't have to do that.
It reminded me of Monty Python, the Ministry of Silly Walks, because, like, her legs were just everywhere at the start, weren't they? She was just like, how that? You know, it's like those videos you see when a dog has got socks on.
Yeah.
And the way she was walking with that, I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Like, touches grass for the first time or something like that there. They don't know what grass is. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Adam's kind of touching on what you were saying as well, like the bit where she used the air pocket to fire the gun underwater. So all well thought out.
It's so smart, and you know, the physics behind everything. The fact when she uses the gun at the start of the book as well, because she was floating away, wasn't she? And she uses the gun, shoots herself back down, and delivers the milk on record time. Yeah, it was good.
I
That was
think I'd
good.
carry a can of air rather than a gun.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's true.
the cover of the book has her carrying a fire extinguisher, but I don't think we ever seen the fire extinguisher in use. Like,
Yeah.
the book I have anyway has like the fire extinguisher.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Maybe,
Don't think she used it, did she?
maybe it comes later in the story, maybe. I'm sure there's plenty of links Africa around for people to use. Just get it. Just spread that around. That'd be fine. Anything else on art? Shane, you got anything else to say? I know you've been a bit iffy with your internet, but
A bit.
yep.
He's nothing else to say.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. It's lovely. The art's, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I thought Willa, like, as well as being a cool character through, I thought she was drawn fantastic. Like I say, I love the big hair. I love her even. It sounds really strange for a 35-year-old man to say, but her dress sense, like, she's just like really cool. Like, if I was that kind of age, I want to hang out with her. Like, I want to be her friend. She looks like she'd be in a cool gang.
She looked cool, yeah. And like it was just that air of confidence about her, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Shane, how are the faces for you? I love the character designs in this.
Yeah, for the most part, they were fine. There are a few panels and a few pages that are not great, but overall, yeah, 90% gorgeous. Absolutely fantastic.
Great. Anyone else in the chat saying anything, Phil, about the art? Or shall we move on to the story?
Liam's asking serious questions. So, like, how did her legs have enough muscle mass to walk? If that was the first time in her life. But she just pushed herself off of the buildings all the time. So
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think that would be the case. The fact that they have to, they do kind of walk around a little bit, and I know they are flowing, but they've got to push themselves off. So I think, that would make the most sense.
And then you've seen the panel where her dad, who hasn't left his apartment in 20 years, is working out. And he looks rather buff. Like, he looks better than me. And I don't leave the house either, to be fair. So
yeah, it all makes sense, doesn't it? Is that you guys ready to move on to the story? What do you think of that?
I just thought it was really clever. Again, there's just simple things like SCC is mentioned here, like the magnet and the dress. Like, I never thought about it. Like, they can't wear a dress.
Yes,
of course they can't, because they're just going to go up. So it's little things like that just make it really clever. And the story overall, let's be honest, it was very simple. I read volume 1 in 30 minutes, maybe leaving less. It was
less than an hour. Yeah,
it was so quick, but I enjoyed every minute of it. There wasn't a part I hated. There wasn't too much kind of dialogue to the point where I was taken out of the story. It was just fun from start to finish. Now, it is an introduction. I'm looking forward to the next 2 volumes of this, which I'm actually going to read tonight. And I might finish it all tonight. Who knows? It was that good.
If it takes half an hour to read that, it shouldn't take long to read the rest, hopefully, isn't it? But to be fair, I think it's a shame that it didn't take long to read, because it's starting to come to the fact that we've all maybe enjoyed this book. That's what it sounds like. And yeah, I was chuffed that I've read it, but I was like, I want more, man. And to know this only goes 3 volumes as well, isn't?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing to hear that we've just read 5 issues, so more 10 issues to go. Which, again, you're talking 2 hours, say, maximum. That's it done. But then there is part of me thinks, well, it is the one and done kind of thing. I think if they build too much on it, it almost becomes forced. Like, he has a story to tell. Here's the finish. It's grand. So I'm looking forward to that. What I will say too, the same kind of creative team, Joe Henderson and Lee. I think it's Garbett. I don't know what's Garbett or Garbett, but call him Garbett. It sounds good. They're doing a book called Shadecraft at the minute, which is coming out, and it's similar. It's also very quick to get through as well. And I just get the impression they have so many more stories that are just going to be entertaining, and they're not looking to kind of have a long-winded, long stretch of a story.
Yeah, they're not forcing it, are they? It's like a BBC drama, isn't it? They just do the show and it's done. It's not like, the American series where it's like 20 odd episodes with filler here and there. It's just, this is what it is. That's it, and just enjoy it for what it is. We read Pulp, and that was a fantastic, very short story. It did everything, and that was all. That's all we needed. But Who's, we still wanted a bit more, but that's all we needed. That's all we got. But we're happy with that.
I'm just want to catch up on some comments just because I think we've missed a few. Again, they're referring to the art. Coraline says the massive first page showing the storm was phenomenal. Yeah, and Stormcore has his say, Chef's Kiss. And it was beautiful, and the colour was fantastic too. And Adam, as usual, makes great points. So he's wondering why the milk was apparently so valuable, but the people living in the asteroid belt had low bone density because I can't read this. Scott, read that for me.
So in the expanse, the people living in the asteroid belt had low bone density because of the lack of gravity. So maybe that was why milk was so valuable.
But also they did refer to the fact that everything had changed, like normal farming had changed, the fact that they couldn't water crops the same way. So everything had changed. That's probably why the milk was expensive.
Yeah, totally. Any more?
It's jumped on me. Firehawk says it's a great premise, very well thought out, and the intention, the detail is very good. That was. Coraline agrees with kind of what we're saying. It was quite easy and simplistic to read, but was interesting premise throughout. Tyler, I enjoyed the story, but I wanted more, but not in a good way. Like there wasn't enough. I wanted more of an emotional punch or more depth.
Oh, okay.
I thought the very end of this volume was really emotional.
Oh, jeez.
We're not going to spoil it, I don't think, but I welled up slightly, thinking, it was big and dramatic. Coraline says, I love the representation of different races and disability in the comic. And that's true because they had different color skins. They had what was his name? Edison, who was an amputee.
Yeah, that's the one.
And who actually was his family. I love the fact that his family didn't like him being an upper, but the fact that he being able to be free in the air, didn't need his wheelchair to get around. It was like a blessing for him. He loved that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, 100%.
Highland G, I enjoyed the world a lot more than the story. It was very fun visually.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I agree here too. To be fair, it was easy to read at times. The story lacked depth. I agree with you too. It's not loads of depth. There's just enough, I think.
It's a very simple, family-orientated story, isn't it? It's like, daughter has grown up in this brand new world pretty much. Father is incredibly anxious and guilt-ridden about this new world. And it's about her, trying to help her dad pretty much, isn't it? Trying to help her dad get out and experience this world and be comfortable with it, whilst also trying to help him with this cure for the lack of gravity.
Shayna's coming to the chat here too. Sorry guys, no idea what's up with the net. So the Nerd Herd Comic Club brought to you by Comic Airwaves.
If only I had the animation in as well, that'd be great.
Yeah,
we're taking over, baby. Should we see what Dean said about the writing?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's go.
The writing for me was a bit hit and miss, a bit of a tricky one. This, like the writing itself, as in the dialogue and things like that, I liked the relationship between Willa and her father and her co-workers. I thought all of that was great, to be honest. My own issue, really, with the writing in itself was that it went by far too quick. And they seemed really to just keep focused on that main plot. There wasn't a lot of subplot. And I felt that there could have been a little bit of texture or some layers put on there. And when I say, but this went by quick, this went by super fast for me as a read. And that's why I thought there must have been room in there to add some layering or some subplot that maybe would have contributed to that main story. Again, I don't know. Given the concept of this, they may have just said, let's just focus on this, because it is something a little bit different. At least for me, it's not something that I kind of feel like I've read before. But the concept is where I did struggle a little bit with this. And again, that's just the science of this. They're all zipping around in anti-gravity, and I'm kind of like, well, how are they breathing? I'm not a scientist, but in my mind, I always thought that if there was no gravity, there'd be no atmosphere. So I'm just kind of like, how are they breathing and talking? I don't feel like they touched on it. There was that part where I think the villain is kind of saying to her, we had to rethink farming and irrigation and stuff like that. But I just, maybe it is a me thing, but I just found it a little bit difficult to try and suspend my disbelief for that long. I thought maybe they would, as I'm reading along, I thought maybe there would be something coming that would kind of at least hint at how that was possible. Yeah, so that was a bit of a bugbear for me. And no matter how visually great this looked when all the floating stuff was good, like, it was still in my mind. It was like a bit of an itch I couldn't scratch. But other than that, which obviously is important because that's the main concept of it, but other than that, like, I thought everything else was done really well. Like the layers of relationships, like her and her friend, and her and the villain, and her, especially her and her dad, was great. And I even enjoyed that ending. Like, I thought that was pretty heart-wrenching at the end as well. I thought that was fantastic piece by, and a very like bold move as well, because I think you're starting to like the father at that point when all of that happens. So yeah, for me, like, there was a few niggles and stuff there, but I think this is quite a fun book, writing wise. It's something different. It's not capes and superheroes. It's not horror. It's not drama. Like, it's something a little bit, off to the left. And I quite like that. I enjoyed it.
Great. So a bit like this for Dean, wasn't it? Like, there were some bits he liked, some bits he didn't like.
Yeah, I do agree that there wasn't loads of subplot. Now, there were a few things that they could maybe kind of beef up on in the later volumes, likes of, there was maybe a love relationship brewing with Edison and oh, hey, Shane.
You right, buddy?
Hey. I had to change devices.
Okay, right.
That's good. You're clearer now than ever. That's
Yeah, you're all
excellent.
good, man.
But yeah, like, I think that there was like a subplot, but then at the same time, I do get the impression they've created this story. It's very self-contained. They knew what they wanted to do. 15 issues, that's it, done. I don't think they wanted to build too much that maybe would have dragged on for 30, 40 issues or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy with what we've got.
Yeah, what we got so far. I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying it. So I've just kind of like summarized what he's said yay and nay to. So, like, relationships, he loved. Like, I think all the main characters we saw there were genuine people. They didn't feel flat or 2D. They were all kind of, they all had their own little history and reasons why they were doing what they were doing. The story was too fast, which I think, I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was no subplot, lack of depth in the story. Yeah. It was just a very, quick and, this is what the story is, and we're going. And that's just kind of how that felt.
Just to address his point he made on gravity and in your ability to breathe, as Grey Man does say, I mean, Grey Man's a man of all knowledge. He's not sure gravity would affect oxygen. I don't think it does. I think gravity, and I think if there's no gravity or lack of gravity, I think you could still breathe. It's okay.
Okay, great. Shane, what did you think of the story, man? You haven't had a lot of chance to talk, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, I thought the story was great. It flowed really nice, really smooth, really quick. I think the only gripe I have, and it's one of those pet peeves I have when the villain is too villainy. When he's like, when Willa first meets him and he goes and talks to his friend and he's like, oh, it's Willa's, it's his daughter and she's going to lead me straight to him so I can kill him. And it's like, dude, you don't have to be that exposition-y. We kind of know you're the bad guy. But yeah, apart from that, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought she was great. At first, I thought I wasn't going to like her too much because she was quite rude at the beginning. But yeah, I really liked her. She made me laugh when she tried to walk for the first time in the grav boots. Yeah, I loved it. I really did. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, just raising the point that Liam had said. And to be fair, I felt this as well. It did feel like a pilot episode for a TV show in a way. Like this, they maybe kept the first arc, the first volume, very simple, and they'll do more going forward. But yeah, I enjoyed this. But
so many comics today do feel like that, though, don't they? They do feel like they're written as a TV pitch.
Yeah, and I could see this as a TV show. Don't know how I would do it, but I could see it as a TV show easily.
I'd watch it because I'm definitely going to read it.
Tottenham Gaming's join us.
Hello.
I don't believe in gravity lately. I feel like I'm not being pulled down as I am being pushed.
Yeah, it's a Friends quote.
And Coraline's saying kind of what you're saying. I like this, to be fair. Now, it was quite cheesy whenever his face was blacked out with the shadows and you seen the white eyes. And the rest of them did feel a bit cheesy. But Coraline's saying they liked the pacing of the story a lot.
I mean, he had no gripes.
Yeah. I
thought it was cheesy as well.
It's cheesy, but it's fun. That's what
Yeah.
it is, I suppose.
But he had no gripes, just standing there and punching the crap out of Willa, did he? Like,
Yeah.
I love the part where, because her gravity boots were like locked on the ground, and he was punching her, and I can't remember the word he said. It's like punching in those inflatable punching bags where she's just like bopping about and he's just trying to land a punch. I just thought that was funny. That was just funny.
It was. Oh, yeah. I mean, there are funny parts when I don't think it's meant to be funny. Like, you're supposed to be taking a scene quite seriously. But yeah, really enjoyable.
It was weird, to be fair. I mean, for me, it was weird to see him just punch her multiple times in the face. Like, you don't often see women getting punched in the face, like, you know, in a comic book or any kind of, you know, even in movies, hardly. It's just it was odd.
Yeah,
but
he had to emphasize he was the bad guy. That's how you know.
So let me just lay a disclaimer. When I say it was funny to see that, I didn't mean the idea of him punching her. I meant more of like her bopping about like an inflatable boxing bag.
Willa, the wacky inflatable flaming arm tube man.
There we go.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Overall, I think they did a really good job, because for a trade, because this got me wanting to read the rest. I read the first issue back in, I think, 2017. The singles came out, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I remember reading the very first issue and really liking it. And it's nothing against the book. I don't know what happened, but the next month, I literally just forgot about it. I completely forgot the title existed. And I'm gutted, because I would have obviously been up to date with it had I continued, but I literally just forgot about it. But I'm so glad I got to read this.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, is there any like regret there that you didn't pick it up at the time, and you're happy that you've got it now?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because I'm definitely reading on.
Yeah, same.
I was the same. I read the first 2 issues, I think, when it first came out. I do have all the single issues, but it didn't stop me double dipping on the hardcover deluxe. It's a sickness I have, you know.
It's nice.
Nothing wrong with a double dip.
Anyway, moving on.
I think story-wise, for me, the biggest bit that I enjoyed and latched onto the most was the relationship between Willa and her dad. It's like we've all said, it was a very fast read, but it still, the relationship changed quite gradually, and it was quite nicely paced, I think, of how the relationship changed. I think the bit made me laugh where she just kind of distracted her dad and then whacked him across the head with a lamp, just a massive lamp, and just knocked him out.
Yeah.
But then
they just carried him in a bag.
Yeah, in a big bag, and like, just here's my dad.
That's another thing as well. The fact that he would be quite light to carry in that bag because of gravity or lack of gravity, even things like that. I never thought about that until I seen it. Like, why is she carrying this bag? It's like, of course, it's going to be really light. Everything's going to be really light. Yeah.
Also, like, I think one scientific inconsistency for me was, like, I thought, if there was. Yeah, no way. Is it inconsistent? She's quite tall, isn't she? So that's actually quite accurate. If there's no gravity to pull you down, she should be quite tall. Yeah, so... Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about it the wrong way.
It's an inconsistency of your inconsistency.
Yes, it's I'm inconsistent here. I was going to say, shouldn't you be shorter? But I was like, no, that's heavier gravity. But yeah, lighter gravity. So that's another attention to detail there. She's quite a lanky character, isn't she?
I never thought of that. That's a good show. Again, they've just thought of it. They've obviously wanted to Wikipedia or something for the basic stuff for gravity, how it affects things, and they just put it all into this book.
Yeah.
But the problem being as well, if she does turn gravity back on, it's going to affect her. It's going to affect everyone because it's been off for 20 years. But for her, she's just going to almost be crushed.
Also, like, if they're going to turn gravity back on, I'm hoping they would be able to find a way to warn everyone on the planet. Otherwise, when they turn gravity back on, Some people are
It'd
going to
be
die.
like it'd be like reverse G-Day. Everyone just
Yeah.
dropping from the sky.
I don't know because they're now in orbit, so they'll just disintegrate on re-entry.
No,
wouldn't
not
they?
those ones. The ones that are jumping from building to building. One
ones
day
that are
Oh,
living.
right, yes. Oh, that's true. But they all have ropes anyway, so it's fine. They all have ropes attached to their buildings.
Well,
and
that's
stuff.
okay then, as long as they're attached by rope.
Oh, Adam, don't.
Oh no! Don't start triple dipping.
That's a
That's
single,
an
a
avenue
floppy,
we-
and a hard one, isn't it?
Dean's gone for one episode, guys.
Keep it
Look at
clean.
it.
I
Filth.
hear him in my head. He's in my head. We'll keep it clean,
They're
guys.
comic
keep it
book
clean.
terms. They're comic book terms. A single, a floppy, and a hardback.
Do we have any more comment about the story in general?
A few
No.
things.
No. Okay.
So,
I will
Coraline,
say
when they
another
did.
part.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Shane.
go on.
I'm just reading this
I was
out.
just
Whenever
gonna
they
say
didn't check he was dead, that felt too classic.
Yeah.
Comic book. Could have ended with him grabbing Willa, but could have happened whilst they were looking for his body. Yeah, it was quite classic.
Cliche.
Cliche. That's it. Shane,
Shane. Gone again. All right.
if anyone happens to sell internet or anything or knows anything about good internet providers, there's 4 guys here who really need to know. So drop us a link.
Have we spoken about this one yet? This one from Darren.
No, we haven't.
So he says, I feel like people wanted deep, never-ending story based on these comics. Like, yeah, he's right. Like, it's everyone wants more, don't they? But I think it's a 3-volume story. It is short, it's sweet, and an easy read. Like I saw in the comments earlier on, he enjoyed volume 1 so much he went and read 2 and 3 straight away because it's a quick read and he was enjoying it. So, and he thinks it would make a great TV show, and again, that would probably be short as well.
Not everything needs to be saga, or doesn't need to be 100 issues or whatever. It's fine as it is. I'm glad we got what we got.
Or 1,000 detective comics.
What's different? It's Batman. Come on.
Grey Man's come in. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Sorry.
He's come in with the muscle problem. Did I have to go to? Okay, so Grey Man said they will have muscle problems. People who go to space have muscle atrophy. So yeah, so
maybe that's volume 2. That could be volume 2.
Atrophy. There'll be a lot of leg days.
Yeah.
So the volume 1 is called My Low G Life. Volume 2 is called My Leg Day Life. You all right, Shane? Back again?
Another new device.
How many devices is this? The fourth one. Is it that time, guys?
What time would that be?
Glasses off, glasses on. It's time for our thoughts and scores, I think. Guys, you know the drill by now. If you have an opinion on this book, if you've read the book, let us know what you thought. Give us a score out of 10. We'll add it up and we'll give out the, we'll let you know what you guys as a whole gave it, and we'll also give our thoughts and scores as well. We'll hopefully get one from Shane.
Shame isn't be counted our scores too.
Yeah, he's supposed to be counting the scores. Hopefully, he still can. He's back and forth. Shane, are you able to help out with the scores?
I can't see the chat.
Okay, that's fine.
I will write them down. I will try
so
in my
sorry.
head.
Right.
To work it out.
Okay, that's fine. Phil, do you want to start, and then you can concentrate on the scores?
Yeah. Listen, it is simple. It is quite self-contained. It's not trying to build. It is good world building, but it's not trying to build something beyond what it wants to be. I thought it was fantastic to read. It was very quick, but I judge books and how good of a time I have when I'm reading it from start to finish. I thoroughly enjoyed the first volume. I wanted to read on, but I didn't want to do it before the show. I am going to do it tonight, and by the sounds of things, I'll have this book finished tonight. Looking forward to that. The artwork was, I think it looked beautiful. I thought even the design of Willa, the kind of colors they used, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Looking at it, it was pretty to look at. Well, it's quite sad and tragic what kind of happens with her father and even her mother. I suppose we didn't really mention her mother, but her mother doesn't make it past G-Day, and It was tragic, and again, doesn't have loads of subplots or any subplots, but the main story I enjoyed. I'm looking forward to it. Had a good time. I'm going to stop waffling on and give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. 8 for Philip.
Nice.
Shane, what's your opinion, mate?
Overall, I really, really liked it. You do have to leave your brain at the door. It's one of those, if you overanalyze it, you do find too many flaws and too many things that just don't make sense. But I'm okay with just ignoring those things if I'm enjoying the book. And it was such a brisk read. I sat there and I read it within an hour. It just flew by. It was fantastic. I like the characters. I like the artwork. I enjoyed all of it. It's not the best story in the world. It is very basic, not in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way, because it's done really well for a basic story. I do want to read more, so it's going to score highly from me for that reason, and the art and everything, the characters. So I'm going to give it an 8 as well.
8 as well. Perfect. Shall we look at Dean's?
Yeah.
See what Dean thought as well. Okay, here we go.
My final thoughts on scores are that I enjoyed this, I want to say. It didn't blow me away, as in I was like, this is an instant classic. But it was fun, and I'll just say that. But overall, it was fun. The art was fun. You've got people zipping around and flying around. The writing was great. You know, it was light and kind of comedic at points, but it had some heart to it as well, particularly at the end there as well. You could see it definitely had some emotions in there, and I like books that have that in them. So I think this was pretty good. It just went by really quick. I think that is the bugbear for me, is that they could have added more texture, more subplot to it. This just, and when I say went by quick, this was super fast for me. It just went by in a blur. So I think if you're looking for a quick, fun, easy read, that's something a little bit different, then, you know, this is a book that you'll really enjoy. I did like all of the characters in this, particularly Willa. I thought she was a great kind of comic book character. So yeah, there's not many main niggles with this. Like I said, the concept I struggled with a little bit, but that was probably more to do with me not being able to suspend my disbelief enough for this. So overall, that said, I think this is going to get a super solid 7 out of 10 for me.
Ooh, look at that.
Not bad.
Fancy spin at the end then. 7 out of 10 for Dean. I guess I'll go then. Fantastic concept, like I've said throughout this whole video, but the story was very fast. There was a big lack of depth. But you know, my favorite bit was the fact you know, all of the considerations on the effects of how gravity would, you know, affect the world and the people in it, and I thought that was very clever. I loved the character designs. I think Willow looked fantastic. I don't know what it is, but I was always looking at her hair. I thought her hair was great. It was really nice. I don't know, I just liked it. And yeah, it was just, you know, the relationships are nice there. And like Dean said, it's not going to blow you away, but it's nice. And I don't know what it is about this story, but I think I've read more gripping stories, but haven't been more inclined to read on. But this one, as enjoyable as it was, I'm like, I want more. I want to go right now. I want to read it right now. Like Phil, you said, you're gonna read it tonight, and Daryl, he read it all in one go, and he loved it. But yeah, I think I've got to, based on all the other stuff we've read on this entire show, I don't think I can give it an 8. And I think I'm gonna join Dean with a 7.
Cool.
Me done. That is 7. Shall we go ahead and see what everyone thought? If anyone's got any more opinions and scores, if you have read the book, do let us know now while we go through them quickly. So we had Caroline, her and her partner gave it 7.5 out of 10. They thought it was good, fun, refreshing, interesting. You do have to suspend your disbelief. It's pretty much what Dean said over the main premise, but if you can do it, it's a nice read. We had Tom, this month in movies, very simple story, nice artwork, brilliant coloring and cover art, 7 out of 10. Daryl here, I'm voting on Volume 1 alone, and for what it is, beautiful art and lovely story, 8.5 out of 10. Firehawk comes in, 7.5 for him. He would you'd read on if it comes up here, and he'd like to see some more on the effects of missing gravity. I think that's the most attractive part of the story, to be honest, the effects on how the lack of gravity would work. SEC, 6.5. Snap to reality, there goes gravity, mum spaghetti. That was great. TB collects, good fun story with a really nice art, had a lot of fun and good dialogue, 7 out of 10. Stormcore, 8 out of 10 for me. Nice relaxing read, great art and overall vibe. I'd happily read more. That's a good, like a good vibe. That's definitely a good way to describe it. Nice art, fun story, but not amazing. 6 out of 10. That's from Highland G. Comic bound, amazing world building and great art. The plot and story and characters were where it fell a bit short for him, and simple but not in a good way for him. 7 out of 10. We got 2 more. Liam is here. My issue wasn't the simplicity or pacing, it was the predictability. Having said that, he did enjoy it, especially how the art showed the zero G-ness, and he would read more. 6.5 out of 10. And finally, we've got Off My Shelves, 7.5 for him, but he thinks he's not fully scoring the first trades there, as he did read on to the end, and he's struggling to separate the first arc from the hole in his old brain. So I think that's it.
Using my old brain, I have a GCSE in maths. First time I've used it properly.
Good job.
The guys in the chat have scored average 7.2.
7.2. Okay, great. Do you guys want to know what we've scored it?
Absolutely.
We have scored it a 7.5. So that was an 8 from Phil, an 8 from Shane, and a 7 from Dean, and a 7 from me. So that gives us 7.5 out of 10. Do you want to see where it comes up on the leaderboard?
Yes.
Here it is.
Always.
7.5.
Up Dave, 11th.
So it's
Ooh,
11th,
just
just above Dave, in 11th place. You guys happy with that?
I think that's fair.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, around there.
Yeah, in that kind of ballpark. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. We've got a. What do we do now?
Now we
What
plug.
we're reading next week?
Yes. What are we going to be reading next week? This is Shane. This is your pick, I believe.
It is, yeah.
Yep. We are going to be reading Identity Crisis from
Identity
DC
Crisis.
2004. Great. Perfect.
Nice
so yeah,
7-issue run.
7 issues. Nice. Yeah, that's
Too
all
long.
right. Too long. Do make sure to join us for that. Phil, do you want to let us know if you've got anything coming up on your channel for the next week?
So for the past 2 weeks on this show, I've plugged the same video every week. I just haven't got around to doing it. I'm going to plug it again for third time lucky. I do have an indie spotlight kind of series starting. I've taken motivation from Chris at Off My Shelves. I love his stuff. I'm trying to do something similar. So I'm trying to do those kind of things, but it's as and when I get time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're one step closer, and I will get it out this week.
Great. Nice one. Shane, have you got anything coming up this week?
I have another What's in the Box coming out tomorrow.
Nice.
So,
Did
check that out.
Okay, great, nice one. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that series from you. It was quite interesting to see everything you've got that isn't always comics. But you've got a lot of Harley Quinn, a lot of Wonder Woman, and there's some good stuff there. Yeah, they are your girls, aren't they? Myself, nothing. I got nothing coming up, so you'll just see me next week on here when we read Identity Crisis. Guys, do you want to shout out anyone in particular? Yes? No? Yeah? Who would you like to shout out?
Yeah.
And why?
Do you have the link? Did I put the link in there? Have you got it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
We can sort that out. So, who have you chosen and why?
Yep. I've chosen Shaneology. because he's hilarious, and his Skeletor Reacts videos always give me a good chuckle. He's
Ooh, keeping us in suspense.
just
He's on and off. Okay.
He's very good on YouTube. Just go check.
Yes,
Click on the
he
link
is.
and check him
Yeah,
out.
go check him out. Go watch that. It's very good. My one is an Instagram page. Quite biased, I think. It is the Three Welsh Men Entertainment. They are purely on Instagram at the moment, and they do comics, they do games, they do films, and they're Welsh. I don't know if I mentioned that, but they're Welsh. So go and support them as well. Go give them the follow. I'm sure they love it. And Philip, what have
Yeah,
you?
I was under pressure to find somebody because I didn't know what happened to us beforehand. So I had to pick a guy I just watched today, and you call him Omnibody. He is on YouTube and Instagram with the same name. Similar interests in himself. He collects hardcovers. He loves Usagi Yojimbo, that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, go check him out. He has some good videos, and he is rebuilding his library of books. So check him out.
Fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah, great. So I think that's it from us, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Do not forget to join us next week, 9:30 GMT in the PM for Identity Crisis from 2004 DC, and it's that time, guys.
So is there one more thing to do, isn't there? Is it written down on the list?
I'm not sure. Do you know
Hold on,
what it is?
Oh yeah, it says right here. Hold on. Dean cracks it every week. Get your waves out.